Hey guys, thank you for tuning in once again. I am Johannes. I'm here with
Anyushi?
and we will be talking about the laws of great enlightenment. Always walk with Buddha.
Today we were really excited, right, to introduce this book because this Kyoten is awesome. So let's cut to the chase. What is this book about?
All right. So I'm actually gonna read that afterword because it pretty much summarizes what this whole book is about. It's only a page long. So afterword. In chapter 1, I began with the story of Angulimala, first labeled the maniacal murderer, but later experiencing conversion, salvation, and enlightenment. This was to express my determination to save all people through the divine power of Buddha. In chapter 2, I showed how I have incorporated the teaching of the power to forgive sins into the laws I teach, just as Christ did historically. In chapter 3, I took a close look at the essence of Zen in relation to enlightenment. It is probably the first time in 1,300 years that Huineng, who was at the start of the sudden enlightenment of Zen, has been criticized to this extent. In chapter 4, I covered the topic of my own enlightenment in this lifetime. And in chapter 5, I have demonstrated my strong resolve as a Buddha. Only one Buddha is born in one age. You are now living in the age of a miracle. This being so, have courage and be confident. As long as you have faith, I am always with you. Ryuho Kawa.
Extremely powerful, huh?
Very powerful.
So I mean, thanks for reading the afterword. It's like a quick summary of each chapter. So it's consisted of 5 chapters, but for me, what stuck out is actually all of them did, right? But chapter 3, I guess the whole book is about if you're new to Buddhism, or if you want to learn more about Buddhism, instead of reading all those other Buddhist books that are out there, go to this book. The reason why I say this is because it has Master Hokawa as the rebirth of Buddha. In the modern times, he has kind of like summarized and took out the essence of Buddhist principles that's workable in modern day. So it's very powerful, and especially, man, chapter 3, he's talking about working capability and enlightenment. So when we talk about Buddhism, it's not a hobby, ladies and gentlemen. It's not something for like dubious people or people who are just into spirituality, like the eccentric guys are doing it. It's not like that. Even if you are a Christian, even if you're like, an American, it's a good book to go to because, like I said earlier, the enlightenment that Master Hokawa talks about from Buddhism is linked to work capability, how to become a better person, how to become a more productive person, how to become more efficient in your work to be able to produce greater values in the modern times. So I thought that, summary of the book is just that part is real great. What is great enlightenment to you?
Well, first I want to start off by just dissecting the word enlightenment, just to give you a different perspective, at least the perspective that I've given it, even before reading this book. And breaking down the word enlightenment, you have the word light, and then you have ment in there, like your mind, like mental. So in a way, it's like almost saying entering the light into your mind, entering light into mind, enlightenment, or even to lighten the ment, lighten your thoughts, the amount of thoughts that go in there. And after reading this, I've learned that, it does obviously have to do with the mind and, the state of mind that you're in. But for you to reach great enlightenment, you have to take into consideration that the spirit world exists. And, without that, we can't reach great enlightenment without even acknowledging the spirit world existence. So I think enlightenment is an ongoing job. It's not just something that you reach and then that's it. I think it's something that's a forever ongoing thing of just learning and growing your mind and having more control of your mind.
I like the part how you said the great enlightenment is you cannot attain it unless you've reached understanding that the spiritual world exists,
Mm.
100%. Master will talk about that in chapter 4 of this book, that it's important to grasp it 100%. Even though it's not like we see the spirit world, right? We sense it, we can make sense out of it, like even thinking intellectually, looking at like past examples and like all of that stuff. But it's important to grasp it 100%. Without it, it's kind of like a small enlightenment. Kind of like I think everyone has it, like that aha moment. Oh, I got this. Oh, I got that. You know, like an inspirational moment that we have every once in a while in our daily lives. That's like a small enlightenment. But in a sense, a great enlightenment for us would be something that you awaken through surpassing the 5 senses. That's when we truly grasp the essence of the meanings of things in this world. And going back to great enlightenment, you know, what is great enlightenment to you? For me, personally, it's like that. But also at the same time, great enlightenment is when the modern day Buddha is born on earth and he awakens to his mission. Kind of like as the Messiah in Western terms. So Master Yokogawa, awakened to his own great enlightenment of his mission that he has as the modern day Buddha, as the modern day Savior, the modern day Messiah, to give us these ultimate teachings. And that's, you know, the Buddha's great enlightenment. For us, I think, is to grasp that fact. That there are a lot of spiritual people, spiritual leaders out there, but there's that one chosen one who is the real Buddha. The real Buddha who reaches to the highest dimension of these different dimensional world and the spirit world. And following him, I think, is when you decide to do that, that's the beginning of the great enlightenment for us as individuals.
I agree.
What are some things that stood out from this book?
Well, definitely the first chapter, which is The Enemy is Within. Man, when I read that, I definitely felt like mind blown, you know. And it really just makes you analyze yourself, your state of mind, just realizing that like there's negative thoughts there and you need to be aware of them. You need to have more control over your thoughts and don't let your thoughts control you, but you control it. It's such a very, very powerful, the whole chapter, the whole book is powerful. Let's just say this whole book stands out, you know? So it's hard to just say like this stood out, and there's so much that stood out from this book. So much.
But,
what about you?
So you know how you said the enemy's within you, and like the subtitle of that chapter is "Do not let your mind control you, but control your mind." I think you said that earlier too. But like, oh man, you know how you said like it makes you reflect. Kind of like in my terms, you said that it makes you reflect on yourself. It's true. It's like it like stimulates you to like really reflect into your mind. So it's you know, it's a great way to the path towards enlightenment and self growth. But for me, chapter 2, the power to forgive sins, have the courage to forgive both yourself and others. So maybe a lot of people in the West don't know about that Buddhism is actually a religion of forgiveness. Maybe we don't know that. I think a lot of people think it's more of a philosophy about enlightenment and egolessness, things like that, right? But actually, there's forgiveness in it. Because behind Buddha's teachings, there's compassion. And that's what gives Buddha the feeling of a godlike feeling, the divine feeling that allows us to melt away our own sins. Using, as you said earlier, the power of enlightenment. Not by just asking for help to God, but by attaining and achieving enlightenment that actually melts away our sin. And we are reborn again as a new person. So if you want to know about this interesting connectivity of self-help and the divine forgiveness, you gotta read chapter 2. Why is this book important?
All right, Yushi, thank you. I believe this book is important because it makes us realize that we need to have more control of our mind and our thoughts. And not only that, but it makes us realize that our thoughts, you know, they pretty much change the world, you know. Everybody thinks we're disconnected or we're our own individual, but in reality, we're all together. So our thoughts not only affect us, but it affects the people around you, and it affects the future, and it affects the spirit world. And you know, there's just so much that just from the thought is just like a seed basically that sprouts out into the world, and if we're not in control of those thoughts, then we could be watering like some poisonous plants or whatever. But the idea is just to be more in control of your mind. And there's so many things in this book. It speaks about suicide and what happens to you after you commit suicide, or there's so many different topics that I think is very important for the average individual to want to look into, and it'll definitely help them through their spiritual journey, and realize that there is a spirit world, and to not overlook it, and realize how important it really is.
I agree.
And what about you?
So why is this book important? I think what you said really covers it. It's really good to look at it from an individual standpoint in your life. Even if you're not on a spiritual path yet, we still go through tough times in life, right? And a lot of the tough times we go through in this world is usually coming from not having or lacking confidence, or you're comparing yourself with others and you feel that you're not as good enough as you should be. And like there's so much expectations that's being given to us in this modern society. It's such a stressful world. Even if in the like in advanced nations like America or Japan, that doesn't mean we're suffering because of lack of food anymore, but we're suffering from the lack of attention. People are seeking attention, and there's always something that's missing in our hearts, and that makes us really heavy in the mind, right? But going back to again chapter 2, but Master really talks about from a Buddhist approach, a really uplifting, very pragmatic and practical, easy to apply kind of steps of how to uplift our hearts. And not just uplift it, like sugarcoat it. That's what I like about Buddhism. It doesn't just sugarcoat your pain, but it helps you dig into the root cause of the issues that you're going through in life. And it helps you give a new perspective on how to solve it, what kind of decisions you have to make, what kind of thoughts you need to control in order to get yourself out of that pickle. And it's really helpful, I think, not just for spiritual people, but every people that's living right now, every person right now, because again, it'll help you get through tough times. What are your final words to help other people, or the viewers, reach great enlightenment?
Well, I definitely want to say that reading all of Master's books,
all of them, not just this.
Yeah. And the more I read his books, the more aha moments I have, where the neurons start connecting new pathways and new perceptions, and I feel the perfect way, or at least in our times, in our generation, is we're so lucky right now is that we have this information that's being given to us, and it's there, it's there, and not many people are aware of it. So I believe that we also need to help others, become more aware of that this information is there. And I also believe that, everybody's at a different level spiritually, or, so we need to be very understanding that not everybody's going to see things the way we see it. And yeah, we just got to have patience for people, and basically just keep the right mind, keep the right mind, keep the calm mind. Even, and this book says it says, even when you're busy, learn to keep a clear mind,
Yes. Chapter 3, that's right.
So, yeah, I believe that, Master Okawa's books are like the perfect way for you to start getting on that great enlightenment path. And all of his books speak so many, so many words, and it touches you in so many ways, and it opens you up and it awakens you. And, from what I've learned from this book is that, you can't reach great enlightenment without the acknowledgement of the spirit world, like I said earlier. And
it's worth repeating.
You got like this book. I've read it once and skimmed through it a few times, but that's still not enough for me to fully comprehend what this book is about, or fully get everything that this book teaches, because there's so much wisdom, so much knowledge, and it's very important during these times that we prepare ourselves mentally, because there are things happening in this world. There are other forces that are going against us and trying to keep us at a low vibration. But I believe that humanity's waking up, we're asking questions, we're seeking spiritual help, and right here we're at the right time, at the right place with these books. So I believe reading his books is definitely the right steps for people to start reaching great enlightenment. And what about you? Any final words?
I mean, you practically said it all. But I guess as a final word, on page 17 in the preface, Master talks about one of the most important teachings, fundamental theme of Buddhism, which is seeking enlightenment above and saving people below. That's a term that's used in traditional Buddhism that Buddha taught. But what you were talking about just now is like, you know, how we want to help other people awaken to the value of these books because that helps them reach the better version of themselves.
Right.
It's like, you know, I don't know, like in love stories, like they will say, "You complete me."
Right.
It's like, these teachings will complete you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't have to seek it from your partner.
Right.
Seek it from God. Seek it from God and Buddha. Right. But yeah, that's one important aspect of sharing this knowledge, and there's profound joy in it too. You know, when you see people like becoming really stronger through the teachings, and like, you know, as a minister, I'm so lucky to see all of these members like really growing and becoming better people and becoming stronger, becoming more influential, and like having a happier, stable income, becoming healthier, overcoming illnesses. All of these great things that you can see in others is a great joy that comes back to you. So you're right, you know, it's awesome to spread this knowledge, but also at the same time, the first part, seeking enlightenment above. I think you said this earlier too, Johannes, about like enlightenment is not just one step thing. It's like an eternal path of growth.
Right.
It's true, right? The more you know these teachings, it gives you a standard of what it means to truly become enlightened, a helpful person in this modern day society. Like I said earlier, we're not telling you in order to get enlightenment, you don't have to hide in a mountain for a week.
Right.
You don't have to go on a retreat to India for 2 weeks. I mean, those two experiences are helpful.
For sure.
But what I'm trying to say is like enlightenment that Master Paul teaches is achievable in daily life. In your life right now, enlightenment is attainable. And this book, I believe, will be a great guide for you towards that great enlightenment, or individual great enlightenment.
Nice. All right, Yushi. Well, I want to thank you for having me on the channel again.
Thanks is mine.
Yeah, and you know, I appreciate everybody watching. You know, make sure you like, subscribe, comment. Any questions you may have, leave it in the comments. We'll always get back to you. And yeah, any final words, Yushi?
Thank you everyone for following this channel. We hope we are able to provide you with a new knowledge of how awesome this book is. If you already have it, go back to it again. If you don't, in the description, you'll be able to find a link to be able to buy it on Amazon. So please purchase it and let us begin our path towards enlightenment.
Yes.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.